Okay, folks, I've got an album review for you in the form of Gwen Stefani. So, with this, she has dropped 3 albums, her most recent one coming out this past spring, and before that, it had been around 10 years. So, this is the second album, The Sweet Escape. Now, I looked up some information on this, and apparently, it wasn't supposed to even be an album. Gwen Stefani released a solo album back in '04, and it really hit off. She had several singles that lasted into 2005, and I think the buzz was so hot that she worked with Pharrell, and they decided to put more records out. So obviously, a recording session, there's usually more than just the 12 songs that they make. So a lot of these, it's don't know the creative process, but I think that there were Gwen Stefani songs that we haven't heard. So what that means is she did manage to hit singles. To me, it feels like The Sweet Escape was as big as Holla Back Girl, but the lasting effect of the album was not as far as that one was. But it's not a bad album. I don't want people thinking because you don't remember it capitalizing that it's a bad project. So that's the thing. If you don't know who Gwen Stefani is, if you're around my age, in your late 20s, you should know her from No Doubt somewhat. If you're younger than that, you'll probably know her from her solo work. There was a No Doubt album that came out about 4 years ago. So that's some of the stuff. And I think she's gone to television and done some things, but it's very likely. So this album, I think between Hollaback Girl and the newest project, this is one that it's like, oh, do you remember that? So that's kind of why I decided to do it. But really, it definitely is. I have not listened to this project much, but I will say that I prefer it, and it's pretty well put together. I mean, it's not going to get monumental score, but it's still good stuff. And so yeah, a few of the songs, I think Now That You Got It's a really good one. That's probably one of the first ones you should try out, besides The Sweet Escape and Wind It Up, which you might have heard. Yummy's another one. Wonderful Life. These are all some ones that have it put together. Breaking Up has a great beat on there. That one sounds like a hip-hop song. Once again, Pharrell is one of the producers who put together some of these songs. So this is kind of the effects of some of the stuff he has done. And so the songs that you need to hear, I like 7 out of 12, which is over half of the project, so I will now list those. Wind It Up, The Sweet Escape, Now That You Got It, Yummy, Fluorescent, Breaking Up, and Wonderful Life. All of the ones I mentioned, I'll mention again. Wonderful Life kind of feels upbeat or up-tempo. I like the feel That's Good type song for Gwen Stefani. Yummy was kind of, that one felt like a hot song, kind of sultry. Now That You Got It, same almost, but not as well. I guess both those are about the same. Sweet Escape has Akon on there. Wind It Up was, I think that was the song you were introduced to. So some of these, I mean, it's hard to classify Gwen Stefani because she's not exactly R&B, but then she does do some hip hop influence things. So it's similar. It's pop music, but it's obviously pop can go in so many directions. That's kind of the thing, is what kind of music is it for? Is this, the best way I can describe it is it's contemporary pop from 10 years ago, so it's pretty current as of that time. I don't think too many people, it's gonna scare away too many audiences. Some might think that it's a little bit soft, but other than that could be about the only complaint. That's not my complaint, of course. I have no problem listening to Gwen Stefani. I think most people should be comfortable enough to do it. But yeah, so this music, It'll get you excited. I mean, that's one thing about it. It's got some good moments. Now That You Got It, Sweet Escape have some great hooks. It's just good pop moments. So I'm gonna give this album. I'm gonna give it, because I like 7 out of 12. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10, and that's pretty good. But this could have used like maybe one or two other songs. The future, Gwen Stefani. What the future means, what's coming for them. Gwen Stefani just dropped an album, like I said, and the social score, which is how well it plays around you and a group of friends. I think this album should get like a 7 for that, because it did have singles, mainly at least two that you're likely to have heard. So between 2 out of 12, and then there are other ones, but it just depends on where you go from there. So the only other thing is, can it be topped? And the answer is not by much. So yeah, once again, this is not weak or sunshine and butterflies, whatever you want to say. It's perfectly able.